Comcast for batteries and electric fans, Mezbon for lunch for the volunteers, and there are so many other businesses who are stepping up. If you want to help Precinct 4, where the vast amount of damage occurred, we have a 501c3 Precinct 4 Forward. You can find it on precinct4forward.org, and you can contribute. We had intense straight line winds in some areas over 100 miles per hour. We know that as of yesterday, we had at least 7 deaths. And can we please take a moment of silence for those individuals and their families who are suffering? And what I worry about is as the heat increases, and we know the heat index, it will be over 100 degrees. I worry about our seniors. I worry about those with health conditions, those who are vulnerable. Please reach out. If it's an emergency, to 911. If it's a non-emergency, to 311. And if you need help directly from Precinct 4, please call 832-927-4444. We ask that you please don't touch any electric lines. We ask that if you have debris, that you bring it to the curb to make our streets safer and decluttered. If you have debris that you want to get rid of before the government has a chance to go by, we have 2 dump sites in Precinct 4 that are open. Hockley Service Center and Tomball Service Center. Those dumps are for you and for any residential debris. I am extremely worried for all of those. We have had numerous calls about the trauma and the state of anxiety and crisis. For those of you who may be in such a state, there is a Harris Center for Mental Health 24-hour crisis line. Please call 713-970-7000. Please remain vigilant when you're driving. Please be a good neighbor. Please be patient on the roads and in your neighborhoods. We're all in this together, and we need to continue stepping up and do what Houstonians and those who live in Harris County do best. It's come together in these times of stress and in these times of disaster. My neighborhood of Timber Grove was one of the hardest hit. My home, we had 3 enormous trees come down, and by the grace of God, they did not pierce through my roof. But many of my neighbors did not have the same fortune. Many of those in the community are suffering. My 2 youngest daughters had to take shelter in a closet, and we've heard from many parents that many of our kids had to do the same, and they're having trouble sleeping because they worry if more danger is to come. Again, we're in this together. We have mental health resources available, and we have crews out who have been out since Thursday evening around the clock working to pick up debris. So again, let us come together in unity and make sure we protect each other. Know that Precinct 4 is here for you before, during, and after the storm. Very, very briefly, in Spanish. Primero, quiero agradecer al alcalde de la ciudad de Houston, el alcalde John Whitmire, la congresista Lesley Fletcher, al gestión de emergencia del condado Harris, a la oficina del alguacil del condado Harris, a la oficina de jefe de bomberos del condado Harris, al distrito. Tenemos al concejal Abby Kamen aquí, a Center Point, al constable del precinto 5, Ted Heap, y todo su equipo. Estamos pensando en ustedes. Hemos tenido escombros y restos de árboles en Tomball, Hockley, Katy, Bear Creek, Spring Branch, Timber Grove, Lazy Brook, y por eso tenemos varios recursos disponibles. Están trabajando como lugares de distribución de agua, alimentos y centros de enfriamiento. Aquí en Bayland, también en Tracy G, Raddick y Weekly. Si quieren eliminar escombros, pueden ir a Hockley Service Center y Tomball Service Center. Y por favor, sigan nuestras redes y el web de Precinto 4 para estar al día. También pueden comunicar con 311 o al Precinto 4 al 832-927-444. Desde la tarde y vamos a seguir trabajando en estos días. Sabemos que todavía hay muchas familias que no tienen electricidad y están trabajando muy cercamente con CenterPoint. Por favor, no toquen los escombros que hayan caído con cables eléctricos. Por favor, contacten a CenterPoint o a mi equipo del Precinto 4. Los otros desechos pueden moverlos al borde de la calle sin bloquear banquetas, puertas de entrada o drenajes. Estamos aquí para servirles, estamos trabajando con todos los niveles de gobierno federal, estatal, del condado y de las ciudades, porque fundamentalmente estamos más fuertes si somos unidos. Y como mamá, como vecina, todo mi equipo estamos aquí para servirles 24 horas al día y vamos a superar este momento tan difícil. Y por favor, si no tienen electricidad, si tienen calor, por favor, están invitados aquí al Centro Bayland y Tracy G. Estamos aquí para servirles. Y ahora vamos a oír de nuestro alcalde de la ciudad de Houston, Mayor Whitmire. And now I am proud to introduce our tremendous partner, our mayor of the city of Houston, John Whitmire.
Hey, thank you, Commissioner Briones, and thank you for your public service. From the first day Commissioner Briones was in office, it was such a commitment to public service, and I'm surrounded by public servants that are here because they care. State Representative Jean Wu, our Congressional Representative, Congresswoman Lizzie Fletcher, our Council Member Kamen. You know, this is Saturday afternoon. We're here to serve the public where we need to be and where we want to be. And I'm just here to let the residents know we understand, we feel what you're going through. Most of us, I certainly don't have electricity. And we're being reminded this afternoon of Houston's heat and humidity, and that's why we want to serve. This cooling center, to my knowledge, is the first opened by county government. We're here with different levels of government to see what we can do to assist. The city's had cooling centers since yesterday. If time allowed, I'd give you a report on each and every one of them, but there's one at West Gray, the Sunnyside Center, the Kingwood Center, the Woodland Community Center. We're furnishing ice and water distribution at the 5th Ward Multi-Service Center, the Salvation Army on Winford, Salvation Army on Enderwood, North Shore Fellowship Church, East End Magnolia Center. So the city, partnering with other levels of government, are doing everything we can. I would ask everyone, one, to be patient. We understand the discomfort, but if you're not patient, it becomes a security issue. You must be very cautious when you drive through where the traffic lights are not operating. I'm excited to announce that TxDOT is bringing additional resources from around the state. TxDOT actually has jurisdiction over hundreds of lights in our community. I've been in touch with the local regional director. We're down to about 150 this afternoon, but additional resources are getting here. I would like to thank the collaboration of law enforcement that's protecting property and also assisting with that traffic mobility. So we're seeing, as the commissioner expressed, what collaborative government looks like. And we're not through. There's going to be a recovery period. We're going to be working with FEMA and the Congresswoman's office and other levels of government to see that we do everything we can to make people whole. So it's going to be a few more days. CenterPoint is doing everything they can. They're bringing collaborative and assistance from mutual aid assistance from other communities. About 4,000 folks have traveled to Houston, linemen, to help us get back online. So I am here to assure everyone that the levels of government represented here today are working together. We're not worried about who gets the credit. Thank Commissioner Briones for having this cooling center. If you need additional services, we're here to serve. I will yield to the commissioner at this time, but thank you. And let me just say, something like this doesn't happen without a lot of hard work. So thanks to the stakeholders, the volunteers, our staffs, and everyone involved. Together, we will get through this. Commissioner?
Thank you so much for your leadership, Mayor Whitmire. I also want to thank, we have a representative from Senator John Cornyn's office, Jay Guerrero. Thank you for being here, Mr. Guerrero, and thank you for the senator's support, and of course, President Biden.
Let's thank Chairman of Metro.
Oh, that was going to be my
Metro's
next
our
thing.
partner.
So we have our wonderful chairwoman of Metro, Elizabeth Gonzalez Brock, who is also an executive at Centerpoint. And again, Centerpoint, they
cool place to go. So thank you again, Commissioner Briones, for your leadership. And our recovery will continue, but it won't happen without the kind of collaboration we see today. And I'm proud to have a minute to share with you some news about the federal response. I will be here to work on this here in Texas's 7th Congressional District, and to work with my colleagues in our Houston Congressional Delegation. We are all united in working together to do everything that we can to advance the needs of our community at this time. And we're not alone. The Biden-Harris administration is absolutely right here with us. I heard from the White House first thing yesterday morning and communicated with them throughout the day. They were sharing their concerns and offers of assistance. And leadership of Mayor Whitmire and our county officials and Governor Abbott. By last night, President Biden had signed a major disaster declaration. So thank you so much for the leadership of our local leaders, getting it to the governor's desk, to the president's desk, and thank you, President Biden, for signing this major disaster declaration so quickly. That enables us to have the federal government mobilize the resources that we need. And our delegation was united in supporting the request from our community for this urgently needed assistance. So I want to talk just for a few minutes what President Biden's disaster declaration will enable here in our community. Obviously, there will be more news to report, but a few initial notes that thanks to the declaration, Harris County residents can now apply for individual assistance with their damages. FEMA currently has teams headed to Houston right now. They will soon set up specific locations in Harris County where residents will be able to ask questions and receive assistance. Very important. Unfortunately, We have needed FEMA assistance before, and there's an important change that our residents should know about. FEMA is implementing a streamlined application process and application requirements so that people can apply for assistance through the U.S. Small Business Administration, the SBA, and FEMA at the same time. Local governments are eligible to apply for the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program, which we have also applied for before here in our community. I am proud to take a moment to say that since my bill, the first bill I introduced in Congress, the HELP Act, was signed into law in the last Congress by President Biden, our local governments will now be able to start certain mitigation projects without the risk of losing federal funds. And this is something we learned, a hard lesson we learned after Harvey. So we've now addressed that. And our local governments will be able to start applying for those grants. For individuals who are uninsured or underinsured, necessary expenses, and serious needs, there is assistance through FEMA's Individuals and Households program. Also, for those in search of legal aid, FEMA's Disaster Legal Services can help. There are also new benefits that are available for immediate funds, and so I want to highlight those. FEMA has highlighted that there are 2 new immediate funds available that I want to share. Serious Needs Assistance, a $750 payment for households for essential items will now be provided in all disasters receiving individual assistance to help people make ends meet. And also, second, Displacement assistance is a new benefit that will help provide people with upfront funds to assist with immediate housing options of their choice to keep people housed during this crisis. There are several other FEMA programs available, including programs that offer shelter, food, and crisis counseling, and you can learn more about those programs in one of 3 ways: by visiting disasterassistance.gov, by downloading the FEMA app on your phone, and that's at www.fema.gov, or you can always call the toll-free helpline, and that number is 800-621-3362. We'll share all these resources again, but want to make sure that people know that FEMA is on the way and that they will be here to help us again in our time of need. And it is thanks to our community leaders who've responded so quickly. Bringing us together, for showing us what community collaboration looks like here at Bayland Community Center in the 7th Congressional District of Texas and in Harris County Precinct 4. I want to thank again everyone who's standing here with me, who's working together, and everyone across our community who's come together in these last few days to help people across our community in so many ways. It's absolutely critical. It's something that we know how to do, and I'm so proud to be able to represent this incredible community, and I will be here for you in this time of need. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Fletcher, and that is excellent news that FEMA is on its way, and we will be having workshops to make it as easy as possible for individuals to apply. We will next hear from our State Representative Jean Wu from District 137, who is at the front lines advocating for our community in the state of Texas. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jean Wu. I'm the state rep in this area. I'm here for just two reasons, really. First is to thank our leaders, our mayor, Commissioner Briones, our city council members, our federal Congresswoman Lesley Fletcher. This could not happen without their support and without their leadership, and we really appreciate them. And especially to thank our first responders who have braved the storm themselves while their own families were dealing with it at home. They were out protecting us and rescuing people. And especially thank you to the Centerpoint crews who are working literally around the clock you are listening to this and you hear about this, please go check on your neighbors, whether they have power or whether they don't have power, especially if they're elderly, especially if they're sick, especially if they have little kids. Please knock on their door, check on them, make sure they're okay. And if they need help, please help them come here. Drive them if you can, but at least tell them where the location is and tell them, hey, you don't need to be a hero. It's going to get really, really hot here soon. Go to the center and just chill out for a bit. We got food, we got water, we got games, we got people who are there. You can talk to them and just be entertained. And don't suffer through the heat needlessly. Don't risk your life. Don't need to call out emergency services that are busy taking care of other things. So thank you all so much. And Houstonians, we can do this. We're going to get through this together.
Thank you, Representative Wu. We'll next hear from one of our city council members from District C, Abby Kamen. And she and I share the jurisdiction that includes Timber Grove, Brook, and many of the affected areas. Councilmember Kamen to share some updates.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. First and foremost, as everyone has said, our hearts are with all families impacted, those who have lost loved ones. But we know, of course, even if you have not lost a loved one in this, there are hundreds of thousands of people that have been impacted. What you see before us, as State Representative Wu said, is unity. And Houston is united in our response at every single level of government. So Commissioner Briones, first and foremost, thank you for your leadership. We're here today because of you. Mayor Whitmire has not missed a beat. I have been at our OEM center with him and his staff. Every single city department is activated, as is our public safety and law enforcement. And of course, at our state level, State Representative Wu and the entire delegation has been working. And of course, our Congresswoman Lesley Fletcher. We were together yesterday, Commissioner Briones, in your neighborhood, which is part of District C, the most hardest hit by this windstorm. And it's astounding, but I do know that we will get through it together. What you see behind us is the work of so many, and Commissioner, this wouldn't happen before you, but the line is down the road, and that means that the needs are there and will continue to. The temperature is picking up. So our ask is, I know as Houstonians, we are used to having grit and dealing with whatever comes our way, but now is not the time to take risks. Now is the time to be at our best and looking out for one another. It is getting hot. In your homes without power, please check on your neighbors. We have free transportation. That's the one thing I wanted to hit on. There are free rides available to cooling centers. So I was just, Chair Brock reminded me, you can free rides through Houston's 311 app, also through the Metro app. Metro Lift is activated as well. So call, text, whatever you need to do if you do not have access to a ride to come to a cooling center. Commissioner, we were just with a little boy inside. There's games, there's TV. I would bring my kid here, but whatever the need is, we will continue to meet it. But I want to emphasize the need for everyone hydrated. Let's all take care of one another. And Commissioner, again, thank you so much for your leadership. Every single person standing here has not missed a moment despite the personal impacts of this storm. All of the staff that is here has been personally impacted and yet continues to stand with Houston. So my appreciation to everyone for being Houston.
Great.
Thank you so much for your leadership. Thank you, Joseph. The city, county, federal, state workers who are assisting, they have damage to their own homes. Their families are sitting in their hot homes and they are on the street for the community, and that has moved me so much, how people can focus on the community first. And so I know many of us don't have power at our homes, myself included, and that is why we're opening these cooling shelters. It literally is getting hotter by the minute. So another risk, in addition to the heat that we face, as power comes on, there are risks for Marshal's office, we have the best fire marshal in the country, Lori Christensen. She is not available, but she sent her amazing leader, Chief Rodney Reed, who is going to help educate us on what we should and shouldn't be doing. Thank you, Chief Reed.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. It's an absolute pleasure. Congress, Mayor, thank you all so much for Harris County. My name is Rodney Reed, Executive Assistant Fire Marshal's Office, and during disaster coordinates with the fire departments in the unincorporated part of the county, and then also with our other municipal partners. First of all, my heart goes out to those that have been impacted, being out there with our first responders throughout the past 2 days and seeing the impacts. What I do want to say is that the stats that I'm about to give are specifically for Commissioner Briones for your side, but are an echo of the impacts throughout Harris County and the city of Houston. On Thursday night between 6 and midnight, the fire departments on the west side of Harris County experienced a 300% increase in calls for service. A normal Thursday night is about 64 calls for service, and they experienced 256 that night, which was a significant response, as the commissioner talked about and the mayor talked about, with these being their homes being impacted while they were going out. The other thing that a lot of people don't think about is, as we move away from response and into this recovery, our fire departments, our law enforcement with the sheriff's office, the constables immediately began engaging our medically fragile. On this side, in the unincorporated part of the county, there's over 411 STEER, or State of Texas Emergency Assistance Registrants, that have various medical fragilities and power needs. Immediately started reaching out to them. We have completed that, and then even went out to those locations if they were unable to raise them on the phone, so that they could engage them, so they could engage and make sure that they were safe. Additionally, our fire, law enforcement, and EMS partners began, as we have now gotten, thank you, President Biden, for signing this, the individual assistance, and hopefully will drive towards public assistance, going out and doing damage assessments. The fire marshal's office, the sheriff's office, the constables were all out doing damage assessments, feeding that information back in to our emergency operations center, and then ultimately getting that over to our Harris County Engineering Department, who is leading the charge in getting these disaster assessments completed. And I thank them very much for that. One thing I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the hazards that we as a community are going to continue to face as we move through and get back to our new state of normal. And that is, we need to be very conscious when the power returns. Our Centerpoint partners are doing an amazing job, but after the power returns, there is an expectation that there may be an uptick in calls for service. So be very conscious. I know, be very happy when the power returns, but also make sure you are going out, assessing your area, checking for lines, making sure there's no sparks, making sure we are not touching any power lines or anything else that may be energized. While we are suffering from the lack of power, I do want to bring a special reminder on generators. Last night, our first responders responded to a fire and a call for service, and were met by a individual with a weapon that was confronting them. They then retreated with the partnership of law enforcement. They came back up and were able to talk to this woman who was acting erratically, and determined that her in-house generator was pumping dangerous amounts of carbon monoxide into the house. Medical professionals were able to address that. Just because you have a home installed generator, you need to be very conscious of that. And then if you have portable generators, make sure you're keeping them away from entrances to the house and your fresh air intake. As the commissioner talked about, there are many debris locations. We ask that you please resources that exist. I know please implore the public to utilize the 211 and 311 services for non-emergency assistance or non-emergency services. Please try to hold and control your 911 calls as our first responders continue to stay focused on responding to this disaster, but continuing to respond to the everyday calls for service. I thank you so much to Commissioner Briones for setting this up in the County Commissioners Court. For all the representatives, the mayor, thank y'all all for your leadership and your guidance. We are just that front tip of the spear, but if we didn't have a strong base from all of you, we would not be able to accomplish the amazing things. And to the residents and public of Harris County and the city of Houston, again, this is what makes us the best in the nation, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Reed, and to all of our first responders. You just saw the Houston Food Bank trucks pull up. Thank you for your partnership, HEB, all of the companies, all of the nonprofits who are stepping up. Again, if you want to volunteer, if you want to donate, at least within Precinct 4, Precinct 4 Forward is working with all of the various nonprofits helping to serve and coordinate disaster response. Please be safe. I also want to thank Constable Heap and all of his team who are back here. Constable Heap, Constable Herman, Constable Rosen, Sheriff Gonzalez, Houston Police Department, all of our law enforcement officers have just stepped up in helping with traffic intersections, keeping our communities safe that are without power. So again, this is an all hands on deck. Please stay hydrated. Please visit the cooling centers. We have water, we have food. We are here to serve you. If it's an emergency, call 911. If it is not, please do not clog up the 911 line. Call 311 or feel free to reach out to Precinct 4 directly, 832-927-4444. We're all hard at work for you, and together we will be even stronger for this. So stay safe, and we're here for you. Thank you.
Let's go to the cooling center.
We are going to the cooling center. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.